Hey, what's up, YouTube? So as you can see, I have an exciting update. Um, so the comics in the value tier, the three books I had, Amazing Spider-Man 252, X-Men 120, and New Mutants 98. Those three books are now being graded. They just were received at CGC. So it took about a month at CCS to be those three books to be cleaned and pressed, and so I'm sort of excited now. We're at the last sort of stage. These books are eventually going to get graded and then shipped back to me. So I'm excited, and it's been fairly quick. People initially, I think the CCS lead time was like they're saying 3 months on the website, but I don't know if it's because it's the value tier, which is the higher price tier, whether that had anything to do with it, but it was at CCS for about a month, and so I anticipate grading to be a little bit quicker, or maybe as long, maybe a month there. So we may see these comics, the value tier comics, back in my possession, ready for that unboxing sometime in December. So, yeah, look out for that. So excited about that. All right, so today we're going to cover my DC stack. So I'm just going to pause the video a little bit, and we'll be back very soon. Okay, I'm back. So we're going to get into my DC stack. And before I get into the comics, let me just say that I think DC Comics, they've gotten kind of a bad rap. And I think it stems from the fact that um, right now, if you look at popular culture and you look at the power of Disney, I think that run of X-Men movies, the Fox X-Men movies, in the early 2000s, kind of set a precedent for comic movies. That comic movies are like, it stepped it up another level, like in terms of story and how you can bring these like teams to the big screen. It was really sort of because prior to X-Men, it wasn't really, comic book movies were really sort of like I think single protagonist based, like Batman, Superman, right? You didn't really have like a team of superheroes. Um, and then, of course, Iron Man was another really great, like you saw, like when, if you put a lot of creative energies into comic book movies, you can really get something like visually and cinematically like appealing to large groups of audiences, because I think that was just a popular movie across the board. So yeah, I mean, I think with the Avengers and Thor and all, and how Disney and Marvel kind of packaged that decade-long run of comic movies, it really propelled Marvel. Um, sort of, it propelled them past DC. But if you look at DC contents like Superman, Batman, because I'm Gen X, okay, and I'm sure a lot of you who are in my generation have watched the Super Friends Saturday morning cartoons with the Hall of Justice, the Justice League, and the Legion of Doom. Now that was just really, that was like one of the best just cartoons. I'm sure if I go back now, it'll just seem ridiculous. But as a kid, that was just like the coolest, because you saw like, Aquaman versus, Manta. You saw Superman versus Lex Luthor. Um, and I think who else was like a really good like Green Lantern versus Sinestro. You know, you just saw these like superheroes and their nemesis, and so it was a constant sort of battle between those teams of it was just like team the super friends versus the bad guys. So that was really cool. So and of course the Michael Keaton Batman came out when I was in middle school, entering high school, and that just changed everything. Like that was really like a huge cinematic event, and Batman was so hot back then. Um, you know, and the comics were really, really sort of getting uh, not really for kids at that point. It wasn't really um, targeted. The Batman storylines were pretty like pretty violent, very adult oriented. So yeah, I think as most of you probably witnessed recently, the DC fandom, I got a kick out of it, to be honest. And I really love Jim Lee, and Jim Lee right now is the creative director at DC. He's I think he's what's his official title? It's like CCO, Chief Creative Officer. And so, when he came to DC, he got right on Superman. He did Batman, Hush, and so I think even though people's focus have been on Marvel titles and of course the movies and all the speculation that comes with that, to be honest, the DC movies have been a big disappointment. Although I did like the Superman movie with Brandon Routh. I thought that was a pretty good movie. Um, I'm surprised they didn't continue with that. I guess it didn't do that well at the box office, but I liked it. I did not like the Supermans that followed. So and I know I haven't actually watched the Ben Affleck Justice League. I'm sure I'll get around to it, but for me, it's not really about the movies. Like the movies, they're just gonna be movies from here on out. Like you're gonna have Superman movies. You're gonna have Bat. I mean, it's just like these these characters, these franchises are just too big for you not to like reinvent them. And so I'm excited to see the new Batman. I think the Christopher Nolan Batman is just like one of the best um, comic movies, probably the best comic movie to ever hit the big screen. And so when you consider that, um, that's better than anything Marvel's put out. The Christopher Nolan Batmans, come on, that's like high, as good as entertainment gets. And then I love how they concluded it with Bane. So you had Scarecrow in the first. No, sorry, you had Ra's al Ghul in the first one. The second one, Joker, and then they concluded with Bane. So I don't know if the one that coming out can top Christopher Nolan Batman. I hope it gets close. I hope it's maybe just a continuation, or like it plays in the same same level of storytelling as that trilogy. But yeah, it's kind of sad that whole trilogy ended. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do Black Adam and Flash and all these. Hopefully we'll get to see Hawkman, Green Lantern, Aquaman. I know Aquaman's coming out. Green Arrow. I hope all the DC characters at some point come and they do a really good job with it. So I think DC's been really killing it in comics. If you haven't noticed, they're really killing it in comics, and I think they're taking a more strategic approach to like kind of match step for step with what Disney's doing. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out. Anyway, comics. Okay, so I don't actually have a lot of um, DC comics that I am really wanting to get because I don't really. I mean, I love Batman. I love Superman, but I haven't really collected those comics. Those weren't titles I really collected. Um, Although I did love the Frank Miller Batman Year One and Dark Knight Returns. I love that story. Um, but yeah, it's these aren't there aren't a lot of the thing is like there's a Jim Lee Batman run and there's a Jim Lee Superman run as well as a John Byrne. Um, he basically Superman Volume 2. John Byrne started that run in I think believe it was 1987. Was it? I would like to get some of those early John Byrne covers in the beginning, but there aren't a lot of comics. I guess I could go after Bronze Age Batman and Bronze Age Superman. That's something eventually I'll get to, but I kind of want to focus on the stuff I really want to collect first, and then after that sort of I've reached that goal, who knows? We'll probably get into the more expensive comics at another point. But a lot of these comics are modern age books because of the Jim Lee, so I'm in no rush to get try to get them because I think they're gonna be stable in price. They're not very expensive comics, so I can probably turn my attention to these. And really, the reason we're covering the DC stack or the DC wish list is just to kind of balance out that it's not just Marvel, titles that I want. Quick comment: I'm not going to cover Image comics, but if we're to look at Image books, I think I would want to maybe at some point get the early Spawn run, like 1 through 25. That's getting harder and harder because those Spawn books are like, even though there's a lot of them, they're spiking right now because all the rumors about Todd McFarlane bringing TV shows and movies of the Spawn universe. So I think rightly so. I think the Spawn's a great platform for movies and that kind of content to be developed. So interesting to see that. So maybe start a Spawn run 1 through 25. But yeah, back to my DC titles. So let's start off with something. Should we go older to modern or just go down this list? I guess we'll just go down this list. So the first comic, it's not an expensive comic. I can probably pick it up for $1 somewhere. And it's Action Comics 1000. It's Jim Lee cover, beautiful cover there. And I think Jim Lee does like an amazing Superman. He does an amazing Superman. So that's one of the comics I'd love to get. And we'll get into the Jim Lee run here. So I already have Superman 204 for Volume 2. And here's some of the other books I would want to get. This is 208. This is 215. I believe this is the last Jim Lee cover of that run. 212. These are all just beautiful covers, by the way. 211, that's great. He's fighting Wonder Woman. And I think this is where I know for certain, like in the Frank Miller DK2 Dark Knight, the second one, like apparently like Superman and Wonder Woman were a thing, and so they kind of rekindled their romance in that series. So I'm just assuming, I know they become a, I know they spark something in this run, and I don't know if that's the first time in comics that they become a couple, or if the Frank Miller series is the first. But anyway, I'm not a particular fan of that. Um, the fact that these two are together, I don't know, for whatever reasons, I didn't grow up with that storyline, and it just doesn't. I don't know. I don't think it's all that necessary. That's a great cover right there. That's a beautiful cover. He's got him lassoed up, and then yeah, that's another great cover. Heat vision. Anytime Superman's using his heat vision is cool, but when you have it on a cover, that's just super dope. Okay, so these are all like, again, these are, I could probably pick up all of these books for under $10. The books I just showed you, so that's what, like 6 titles for, I could probably pick them up for, $10. So it's just some dollar bin hunting at some point I'll do. Let's get into some of the older comics. So this is definitely one of the comics. So this is the volume 2, number 1, the first issue, and it's a John Byrne cover. John Byrne did the first, I think, I want to say like 19 covers for this run. And they're like, he also does another just iconic classic Superman. And so, yeah, I think I want to try to collect all the John Byrne covers on this initial run, but I'm just going to show you. I'm not going to go through every comic in this run, but just the highlights, like that one right there, Dark Side. Boom, that's a great cover. Here's another good cover. This is the Batman Joker. That's pretty cool. There's another cool cover. Superman just wasting everybody. Yeah, everybody knows Superman's the most powerful like superhero. If you get into, like, that's the thing, like if you get into sort of the cosmic characters, like I'm drawing a blank. Galactus, the Watcher. These are they're like god-like characters, right? These like basically comic book characters with control. They control like space and time and all that. So outside of that realm, or that tier of superheroes, Superman's pretty much the most powerful, like, superhero, right? I think we can all agree. His weakness is what? A red sun and the different colors of kryptonite, which makes him pretty vulnerable, to be honest. But yeah, like I think I mentioned in previous videos, like a Batman could, like, theoretically, yeah, I guess Batman could defeat Superman, but like, really, no one's buying it. So whenever I see like a Batman outwitting Superman and beating him somehow, like in a comic, I just think, come on. Like, I'm just such a big Superman fan. I think it's just better to not pit those two together against one another. They should be friends, right? But anyway, I'm really digressing. Okay, so let's see here. A couple more covers. This is a cool cover. So before John Byrne started this volume 2 run, he came out with a limited series, And I have one of the comics on my Instagram, and it's a pretty just generic comic. It shows, like the cover has Superman on it. There's a little rocket ship um, flying toward Earth, and that's the official cover. And then, so it's the Man of Steel. Then DC came out with this cover here, the Man of Steel. This is the special collector's edition, and this is still the #1 in that 6-part miniseries, where it's a Byrne did all the artwork and covers. But this is technically the first variant cover, and so I'm sure some of you are aware of that fact. But if for those of you maybe more modern collectors who aren't aware, this is still a fairly affordable book. And for those of you into variant covers and the idea of a variant cover, which is a more limited run of and a different look, so it's a different cover altogether, but a more limited kind of edition for collectors. This is the first variant cover. And so this is a comic I definitely want. I have the original version. This is the comic I want, and it's a great cover. Just iconic Superman, Clark Kent, and then changing into Superman with the suit underneath. So that's a great cover. I'm gonna try to get multiple copies of this, because I think there is value in it. I think over time people are gonna recognize that the significance of this cover. There's another. So I want to collect this entire 6-part run. I've got the first. I'm still wanting to get the other 5, and these are dollar bin comics. You can find them in your dollar bin. They're not worth much, but for me, the art is really just awesome. And here's John Byrne. This is #3 in that series with Batman on there. That Batman looks just so dope. This looks really cool. Okay, let's see what else. So I think DC Fandom has gotten me really hyped about Shazam. Now, I was not a big fan of Shazam growing up. It wasn't. I think Shazam was really popular in previous generations, but I did watch like Shazam cartoons, and they were kind of like they were interesting, and so the fact that DC has a Shazam movie that I haven't seen yet, but I hear it's not bad. They're coming out with a sequel, but really it's the Black Adam movie with The Rock that's I think everybody's really hyped up about. So in anticipation of Black Adam, I'm going to try to get some of these older Shazam issues. So these are on my want list right now. Shazam #1. This is slowly going up in price. It's actually pretty pricey, but still fairly affordable if you think about it. The real issue with this #1 is finding it, and it is currently at one of my LCSs. It's not a great grade of it, but I think I saw it for like 20 some bucks or something like that, so it's still very reasonable. And I think, yeah, with those movies, these titles are going to move up. The next one, I bought this one, and I think, yeah, I'm eventually going to get to this comic in my comic run. In my later videos. Mine's a mid to low grade copy. It's not a very good copy. I'm hoping it gets a mid grade, to be honest, because I think it presents really well. It's just got a lot of, with a black cover, it's got this subscription crease right down the middle. But it doesn't, that crease doesn't really color break. It color breaks right around here, and there's a little dirt, but I'm hoping with the press and a clean, it won't be that noticeable. In fact, it's not very noticeable. But I know those kinds of things really affect the grade and bring it down. It's also got like a crease here. It's got a lot of just edge wear. But overall, the color is great on my comic. But I don't know if I'm ever going to get that actually graded, because even if these books do pop up in value, seeing as it's a Bronze Age and it's a low grade, I don't think slabbing that would be all that worthwhile. I'll just keep it raw. But I'm hoping to get a high grade copy, so I'm on the lookout for this specific cover, because just this black cover with the Marvel family here makes this cover I think iconic. It just looks really cool. So I'm looking for a high grade of that as well, and this one. So I gotta just let you know something. I was born on August 13th, so this is just the thing. Obviously, the comics, I don't know if comics today, I guess they do, they come with a month and then the issue number, right? So anytime you have these August 13th, because I was born on August 13th, so anytime you have this August 13th combination, which is really rare in comics, for me, I want to collect that. So when I saw that the Shazam number 13 was printed in August and has that August 13th cover, I just think that's cool, because that's my birthday. So this is definitely a comic I want, and I'm gonna kind of bump this up on my priority list. And so if I find this, I also saw this one at the LCS, and this is a thicker one, so these are harder to get in like really high grade. So it may take a little bit more hunting. I may go and get that low grade copy though, just to get it and then continue my search. This is also not a very expensive comic, although I anticipate it will get up there. But another example of an August 13th comic is like that Todd McFarlane Spider-Man run, the Spider-Man number 13, not the number, so it's essentially the number 1 cover, the exact same cover, number 13, but he's in the black suit. That number 13 is actually an August 13th comic, so I have 3 copies of that. It's just one of those things, like if I'm looking through and I see a number 13 issue, I'll check the month, and if it's an August 13th comic, I probably will pick it up. So that's cool. If you know of any August 13th comics, please write them in the comments so I can put those on my wish list. I don't run across them all that often. Okay, so we're going back to DC here. This is another cover that I really liked, Action Comics number 419. This is a Bronze Age cover, Neil Adams cover. That's another cool, like, iconic Superman. I think Neil Adams' art is really awesome. It's just that a lot of his comics are sort of out of my price range. But this is a character I love, Superman I love, and this is, I guess, a comic I would get. It's not really all that expensive of a comic. I mean, it's expensive, but it's not as expensive as some of the ones out there. But it's such a great cover. I mean, you got the cityscape down in the background, Superman jumping out in the foreground, the colors pop. At Action Comics, it's the old style Action Comics. So really key cover. So I love that. That's one of the older ones I'm on the look for. Okay, we're gonna get into some Batman now, and I guess we'll stick to some of the older Bronze Age stuff. So here's Batman 241, and just a great cover. 241. Here's a 260. The Joker and Riddler are on that cover. And then we're getting into this is a cool cover, 2 Jokers. Butt out, Batman. I'll knock off this Joker first, then I'll happily do the same to you. That's I think that's a Jim Aparo Batman. Correct me if I'm wrong. Another great cover. These Joker covers are just great, so anytime you have a Joker on a cover. There's a Catwoman. This is a great Catwoman cover. It's a great Catwoman cover. Yeah. And then Batman 400. This is an anniversary, and then this is pretty. You see this comic in the bins. They're usually around, I think, $20, because it is a key issue. But it's that awesome Bill Sienkiewicz cover. Oh man, that art is just creepy. But yeah, just I mean, that cover alone makes this book just awesome. So yeah, it'd be nice to get that slabbed. I know these Batman books are going to start moving up because in anticipation for the Robert Pattinson Batman, we'll have to see how difficult it is to secure these on my list. This is, I'm surprised at how relatively cheap this Batman Year One is still. Batman 404. I think they're going for like $20. Like high grades are going for like $20, $30. Which is great for me. I'm gonna get these at some point. I know there are a lot of copies out there, but these are old books, so to find them in high grade might be a little bit of a challenge. I mean, this is such a iconic book for me that I may even buy a graded copy, like a CGC slabbed book, in like a 9.2 or 9.4. 9.8 might be a little too steep, but we'll see. But yeah, Frank Miller story, David Mazzucchelli cover, and this cover is also amazing. This is a second part in the I think it's a four part series. Yeah, just awesome story. How Batman comes to be. This Batman origin story is, Christopher Nolan adopts a lot of the elements from this Frank Miller. So, I think that's what's really cool about that Christopher Nolan run. It really feels like that first one in the trilogy really feels like Batman Year One. Yeah, that's cool. And let's see here. Continue on with Batman. So yeah, we're getting into, so this is another classic one, The Killing Joke. Yeah, I read this, I believe this came out in like 1988, so I was in 8th grade when this came out. And I read it, and it is not for kids, first of all. So it was kind of shocking, actually, when I read it at that age, but it was just so cool. It was just so cool, and it really kind of delves into the psychotic nature of just how mentally ill Joker is. This is, so I'm sure everybody who's watching this has read this comic. If you haven't, go out and read it. But it's where he, kidnaps Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, Jim Gordon's daughter, and just kind of screws with her. And then, yeah, Batman, of course, comes and saves the day. But yeah, it also kind of goes over the origin of Joker, how he came to be. And so, yeah, this was right around the time this came out. I believe the same year Batman, the Michael Keaton movie came out. So there's all this, like, this was one of the books that were out around that time, and just, if people were collecting things Batman, this is one of the things you had. Now, I had a copy of this, and I don't know what happened to it, but I read it, so I mean, it wasn't a very high grade copy. So this is something, I don't necessarily need a first print of this. For me, I can have a second print, because for me, it's just about having this slabbed as part of my collection. So we'll see. If I get a first print, that's cool, but it's not something I need a first print in. Yeah, Alan Moore story, so good stuff. Let's see, what else we have here? We got a lot of good Batman stuff. Now we're gonna head into the Jim Lee stuff. Okay, so here's Batman 608. This is the beginning of the Jim Lee Batman run. Now, this has a variant cover, which I don't think I have a photo of that. But I want the variant cover. And so the variant cover is essentially, the one with Superman on the top of the building looking out by Jim Lee. There's a statue. I have a statue of that, actually. In fact, why don't I just show it to you real quick? This is the statue. So there's the Superman 204. He's kind of looking out on top of the building, and there's one where Batman's looking out, kind of looking out to the opposite, like facing. It looks like they're facing each other if you were to put the two comics together. So the 608 variant of this is the more rare and more collected, iconic version of that Superman 204. So I just think it'd be cool. I have the 204. I just think it'd be cool to have this 608 to kind of complement. They're kind of looking at each other from across two skyscrapers. So that's that. And I definitely want this cover as well, but I think the 608 variant is the more, and that's a higher priced one. That's, I think it's going for like $50 or something like that. It's pretty up there. So it's on my, I'm just hoping it falls in price or something, but or I find a deal on it. I'm hoping to get that in high grade as well. Let's go through some of these amazing Jim Lee Batman covers. So Here we go. I think the 609 is where he's with, it's the Green Ivy. Is that her name? Green Ivy? He's on the cover with Green Ivy. I want to get that one too, but this is 612. That's just awesome. So yeah, I mean, this is how you would imagine a Superman-Batman confrontation. Batman couldn't do shit against Superman. Come on, let's just be honest. If Superman wanted to incinerate Batman with his heat vision from like miles away, okay? Super hearing, remember, he could super hear Batman from like literally miles away and obliterate the building or the just the space that Batman exists in with his heat ray and turn Batman into dust. Okay, that's how simply Superman could eradicate Batman if he wanted, just on a whim, right? If you're ever to like consider Batman an enemy, that's how simply he could do it. And so yeah, it's just ridiculous to, I mean, and you know, Superman knows, he knows of Batman's identity and all that, so they're friends. Let's just keep them friends, okay? Let's not make them enemies and create this ridiculous scenario where Batman could actually pull off defeating him. That's a great cover. Oh man, that's just spooky. This is the Jim Lee Joker. I just love what Jim Lee does with the Joker character there. Really exaggerates all the features. Great cover. Robin as like a corpse. And then we have Batman and Robin. That's a great cover right there. Poison Ivy, not Green Ivy. Poison Ivy is the 609 cover. This is 619. I'm gonna try to collect as many of those, the Jim Lee run, as I can. So we're talking about 608 through 619, I believe, which isn't a long run. That's a 10-issue run, but it's mostly the Batman Hush stuff. So I try to collect all that. But again, these are more modern books. They're not as expensive, and so I can take my time on that. These are kind of like on the low rung of the priority. I think if you look at the DC books that I want to get, and this is the thing, so I'm sure for those of you keeping up with like comic market news, I'm sure you've heard apparently the comic market is in for, I mean, we've seen a regression in prices. We've seen a drop in the market, and so they're anticipating that that will continue into next year, and that this kind of pandemic spike we saw, where everybody was just like kind of hunting for comics and just grabbing keys and all that, like that fervor is going to die down, and then you're going to realize, oh, well, all these books, there's still plenty of copies out there, and there's plenty of high grade and, you know, unread copies out there. So all that frenzy that was really sort of magnified online is going to die down. And so it really works out well for me, because I can't really spend a lot on comics right now, and some of the prices and stuff on eBay are just kind of a little bit ridiculous. But I think come next year, when I get, you know, when I can focus on buying some comics and get some money, it'll be nice to go into an environment where things will be kind of lower in terms of value and price. So I'm hoping these DC ones, the priority DC ones, stay fairly cheap. So if I were to prioritize the books in the DC wish list, it'd be the Batman 404, the Batman Year One, the Batman 400, the Man of Steel variant, and the Bronze Age Shazams. Those are the ones definitely be on the lookout for. But again, if I run across any of these things and they're fairly cheap, I'll probably pick them up. Okay, I think that's my DC. Yeah, those are my DC comics that and mostly they're, the Jim Lee books. Not too many of the older books. The older books, I think, I'll hold off on once I complete some of these Jim Lee runs. I think that's what I'm focused right now. I'm just focused on finishing sort of like the major books in the X-Men run. Finish that first, then focus on maybe those Superman and Batman runs, Justice League runs he did, and then maybe focus on then like his Alpha Flight run, his Punisher War Journal run, and then his Fantastic Four run, and then maybe his Wildcats #1. That'll probably be like toward the latter part. But yeah, that's sort of my frame of mind in terms of the Jim Lee books I want. And of course, I'm gonna, for those of you who watch my previous Marvel wish list, those are the books I'm kind of focused on. So yeah, kind of gives you an inkling into my mindset and what I'm in the market for or what I want to buy. So if you own any of these books and you want to kind of offer them to me, I'm not going to buy them for basically I'm not going to buy them for book value. I'm looking for a little bit below book value to get them. In fact, these modern comics, I'm not looking to pay more than $1 to $2 for them. So just know that. But yeah, if you have any of these other key books and you see something on my Instagram or the videos that you like, and you because I'm down to trade a lot of my 90s books and modern books and some of I guess my older ones if it's for other books on my wish list. So yeah, send me a trade. Let's see if we can't do something. All right, I'm gonna end the video right there. This is it's been fun doing this book, and yeah, comment below, and thank you for watching.